Alright, I'm officially live. I'm gonna ensure you're all able to hear me, chat. Y'all able to hear me, chat? Alright. Yo, what's good, chat? How y'all feeling today? I'm feeling blessed. Back with more of me playing GT5 online. Doing plenty of Heist solo. I mean, I understand, like, you know, quite curious why I'm chatting like this. Not because of my mom. It doesn't necessarily matter. She's been asleep. It's because, my head was hurting so, like, I wanted to just... yeah, because my head was hurting, so I just slept, like, while sitting within my gaming chair. And, you know, I'm gonna play GT5 online. I mean, I'm hoping to do the heist. Hoping today. This is the next day, obviously, but, you know, today is officially January 13th. I'm gonna consider witnessing my therapist later today. Man. Like, my head was hurting like crazy for real though, chat. But anyway, chat, without further ado... why is my car here? Or like... why is it here? Anyway, without further ado, let's get straight to the shit once and for all, like over, you know, so. Anyway...
holy shit! You nut job!
I'm actually gonna charge my phone. I fucking hate charging my phone, but I'm gonna.
What's up, Solar? I'm feeling okay.
Like, I'm looking forward to just getting myself a new iPhone 17 Pro Max. Like, I for real want an iPhone 17 Pro Max. I for real want it. Like, I for real want. I'm gonna consider myself one. Yeah, man, I got a busy week. I have to deal with surface. Not like deal. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, I wouldn't say deal with her, but like... I say, yes, I know I hate the missions, but like, I don't necessarily mind doing it myself. Like, I'm gonna do all, like, the missions, you know, yeah, I gotta like, witness my surgery today. Thursday is my dentist appointment. Friday is my job counseling meeting. I can find a job myself, but like, you know. Excuse me, chat. Yeah, my bad. I just ended the live stream like that, just like that. I just ended it like that, you know. And then I mentioned to Andrew if he's overall awake, and apparently he was, but yeah, he's asleep. Him and I were watching WWE Monday Night Raw. I'm almost quite finished with it, but I'll be sure to finish as early as it, like, once I wake up and shit. Like, once I get finished having breakfast, I'm gonna consider watching WWE Monday Night Raw, like, finishing that shit up. SmackDown and Monday Night Raw from last week, I'll have to see. You know. If not even Monday Night Raw, then possibly, like, SmackDown. I'll have to see, man. I'm not necessarily mentioning, oh, it's a hassle, it's just, it's great to catch up because, like, you don't want to over and over sync anymore. And I'm gonna be honest, chat, I'm gonna be honest, whatever advice AZ gave to me, like, say, oh, don't overthink, you know, I could have streamed everything of what him and I chat about. I mean, I know I streamed the beginning of it. I gotta go see the live streams, like, overall, just to see certain things of where I left off, and what I could possibly mention, chat. Because, you know, it's just reasonable, you know. So, about, like, what AZ mentioned, like, oh, don't overthink, move on, and I'm like, I can't move, I can't necessarily move on from something that's true. Especially when he's like, don't overthink. Does he know why I overthink? No. Which, actually, speaking of that, as I specifically mentioned about that, like within my recent live streams, last live stream, I would say, just overall, what I'm gonna say so much about that shit, like overall, you know, like over, like what I'm gonna like what I'm gonna say so much about that shit, like within this current live stream, and what I could possibly mention about that shit again as well within my future live stream, obviously, like over, so is my stress, my stress, anxiety, and depression, specifically associated with my traumatic situation, like over, so. Just something I want to mention about that. Another thing I want to mention, I feel like I was going to mention something. Excuse me, chat. Oh yeah. Another thing I specifically... I'm going to put my mic volume down just a little bit. Anyway. I hate is how my head hurts because of my traumatic situation, Because, my stress, anxiety, and depression specifically associated with my traumatic situation. My headache is simply because of the cause of that shit. Anyway, AZ, if you're watching this or whatever, yeah, my bad about the roleplay, man. I just, my homie Angel mentioned he wanted to watch WWE Monday Night Raw. So like every Monday, no roleplays, either on Tuesday or Wednesday. But I'm very busy today. For me, for my time. So I would possibly mention like, I would say Wednesday, like you mentioned, like Wednesday would be perfect. Just overall, So I'm gonna be very busy today. I have to see a therapist, or like witness one, so you might as well. Excuse me, chat. Anyway, chat, so another thing I specifically mentioned, like within my recent live streams, what I'm gonna specifically mention about that shit, like within this current live stream, and what I could possibly mention about that shit again as well with my future live streams, obviously, chat, like is, I'm not, and again, chat, like for real though, chat, I'm not necessarily a dumb fuck. Again, chat, like for real though, I'm not necessarily a dumb fuck. No. Simply because, I have a bigger head, a bigger brain, and a bigger mind, which the three things I specifically mentioned, like over, so, all of them overall are like simultaneous, and are like combined simultaneously, like all combined simultaneously, like over, so. Anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna consider doing the missions. Before I actually start the mission up, I'm gonna mention the three things. I feel like I wanted to, I didn't necessarily want to be vague, and as I mentioned them, before I even mention them, chat, is, like again, chat, for real though, I'm not, like again, chat, for real though, I'm not necessarily a dumb fuck. No. obviously, chat. You know, simply because, you know, like simply because, you know, simply because, you know, simply because I have a bigger head,
No way.
a bigger brain, and a bigger mind,
Hey, man!
which
What?
the three things I specifically mentioned, chat, they're like overlapped pretty much, meaning they're all like simultaneous,
Later.
or they're all simultaneous, you know, like over, you know. So hold up. Oh, to roleplay today. Actually, you know what? Yeah, actually, I'm actually down to roleplay. Actually, yeah, my bad. I was actually gonna mention if you're watching the stream, we can actually do today. Yeah, my bad. I was watching WWE. That's why I mentioned like typically on Monday, like yeah, we can't typically do on Wednesday or Monday, but because it's Monday for you, yeah, it's 11:33 for you. Yeah, we can consider doing it. You know what, chat? Everything I mentioned here, I'm not gonna mention it within my next live stream. But hold up, AZ. Let me be very immediate, real quick. And overall, you know, next live stream, I mean, whatever I'm gonna mention, I'll mention it, but whatever I mention, you know, I'll take it over the next live. Not all of it, but like, whatever I mention, like, you know, it's all good. Anyway, hold up, AZ. Yeah, we'll consider role-playing today. So yeah, the three things I specifically mentioned, like, within my recent live streams, possibly my last live stream, what I'm gonna specifically mention about it, like, over, you know, so, like, what I'm gonna specifically mention about that shit, like, within this current live stream, you know, like, within this current live stream, and what I could possibly mention about that shit again as well with my future live streams, like, over, you know, so, is, you know, the number one thing specifically, like, you know, the three things I'm gonna specifically mention, like, over, you know, so, you know, the number one thing specifically, like, over, you know, so, is, you know, 7 plus, like, overall, you know, so, sex for pleasure, 7 plus, like, over, you know, so, which are the bills me and my homie Farhan, once him and I are officially due presidents on exactly July of 2026, once, him and I place an impeachment or vote on an impeachment for Donald Trump, and then once he's removed from office, you know, him and I will officially be due presidents on exactly July of 2026. And I'm chatting about this with my viewers, AZ, so, you know. Anyway, yeah, those, I specifically mentioned chat, like, you know, him and I are gonna sign those bills into law on exactly July of 2026. Well, it doesn't have to be exactly July. Like, I have to do plenty of study. It may possibly be 2027, or I can just introduce them of July of 2026 and explain my reasons why, despite me not having like study any of those future studies overall. So we'll see. I mean, there's gonna be plenty of shit I have to mention in my head of me going crazy because it's gonna hurt. You know, simply because of my stress, anxiety, and depression, specifically associated with my sleep and everything like that. Anyway, the number two thing specifically, you know, the three things I'm gonna continue specifically mentioning in chat, like, you know, the number two thing specifically, like, you know, so is, you know, me and my homie Farhan Azara as official dual presidents on exactly July of 2026. Him and I are gonna lower the drinking age from 21 plus to 11 plus, and the gambling age from 21 plus to 7 plus. So him and I are gonna sign those bills into law as well, and then pretty much him and I will be overall, like, you know, in terms of the changes, especially political changes this year of 2026 and next year of 2027, which the changes overall, which in terms of all of the political shit and just the CEO and chairman shit, especially president of a business, like whatever businesses or just certain businesses, just, you know, certain businesses overall, you know, like whatever I specifically mentioned just overall, you know, of what I'm continuing to mention and just what I overall specifically mentioned in chat, or specifically mentioned in chat, like over, so, is, what I specifically mentioned about that shit, like, within my recent live streams, you know, what I specifically mentioned about that shit, like, within my recent live streams, possibly my last live stream, it's not then, what I just specifically mentioned about that shit, and just overall, like, over, so, or just, what I specifically mentioned about that shit, like, within this current live stream, like, within this current live stream, and what I could possibly mention about that shit again as well within my future live streams, I'll just chat, like, over, so. Anyway, so anyway, so yeah, just, so yeah, next year of 2027, once Farhan, Azara, and I are officially CEOs and chairmen of plenty of companies, whether gaming companies, social media companies, WWE, just any companies you can think of or name of specifically. It could be acting companies, gaming companies, or should I say specifically movie companies or gaming companies. So anyway, so yeah, next year of 2027, the changes as well are going to be towards, like, movie rating changes, TV show rating changes, and video game rating changes. Just overall, like, over and over. So yeah, just, changes overall, especially political changes this year of 2026 and next year of 2027. Or just, changes overall. Just, overall. Like, over, so. Oh, and beyond 2027. So again, chat, like, for real though, changes overall, especially political changes this year of 2026, on exactly July of 2026, and next year of 2027 on exactly on exactly January of 2027 in terms of political changes and just changes overall, like June of 2027 or July, possibly June, who knows? It typically depends when I get those, like, degrees in terms of those shit of me and my homie Farhan Azar being CEOs and chairmen of plenty of companies and presidents of certain businesses. It typically depends on what company, like WWE, for example, would involve you being a president of that company. Especially Rockstar Games, but it doesn't necessarily have a president. Naughty Dog does, so that's an example. It's a gaming company, though. WWE is an entertainment company. Yeah, apparently it's not like, I'm not, like, yawning as much, like, it's not cooling my brain, like, in terms of my stress, anxiety, and depression, specifically associated with my current situation. But yeah, especially Rockstar Games, like, him and I being CEOs and chairmen of that company. There's a reason why. And yeah, I didn't mean to mention fuck 2K. Actually, I have a reason, because there's certain things I don't like, but they're I compared to Rockstar Games, Sony, and Epic Games, or whatever, like over here. Anyway. But just, changes overall, especially political changes this year of 2026 and next year of 2027. And, like, beyond that shit. And, just overall, changes overall, like, over, so. Anyway, the number 3 thing specifically, like the 3 things I'm still continuing of what I'm specifically mentioning, chat. Like, the 3 things I'm continuing of what I'm specifically mentioning, chat. The number 3 thing specifically, like, over, so, is, all the shit I specifically mentioned, towards the 7 plus and 11 plus shit, because, 7 plus, like, over, so, 11 plus, like, over, so, and just all the shit I specifically mentioned towards them, like, that's what Farhan, Azar, and I, as official dual presidents, or potential dual presidents, which we're officially going to be dual presidents, him and I, on exactly July of 2026, like, this year of 2026, but overall, like, but yeah, him and I are going to sign those bills, just all the shit I just mentioned towards the 7 plus and 11 plus shit, overall, like, sign those bills, like, into law, And what I just mentioned about all of that shit, specifically towards that specific like what I said so much about that shit, like within my recent live streams, possibly my last live stream. If not, then overall, like like I said so much about that shit, like over so. But like yeah, like I said so much about that shit, like within this current live stream, and what I could possibly mention about that shit again as well within my future live stream. Like over so. But anyway, chat, whatever shit I specifically mentioned, like within, like um, whatever shit I specifically mentioned, like within this current live stream chat, overall, whatever I'm gonna possibly mention, like within my next live stream, I'll just save it for my next live stream, or just like whatever future live stream that's not necessarily my next live stream, which is considered my future live stream. But anyway, chat, I'm actually gonna end right here. I'll consider playing this whenever, or possibly like later today before I head to like my therapy session, and then I'll be sure to let you know about that shit, like within my future life overall, like overall, again as well, like with my future life, like over here also. But anyway, chat. So yeah, I'm gonna end right here. If you want to see more of me playing GTA 5 online with my homie Andrew whenever, or RJ, because I'm looking pissed. I'll explain to him why, but I'm not like saying it in an offensive term. I'm pissed, like just overall. I'll explain it, or I don't have to say I'm pissed. I mean, he has to understand, but he's chill, man. He's chill. I'm just like wondering like why. Caleb has his reasons, Nav has his reasons, Jesse Williams has his reasons. Just like RJ, it's been quite a while. So yeah, if you want, just overall, if you want to see more of me playing GTA 5 online with my homie Andrew, just whenever, like today possibly, RJ possibly later today, my subs whenever, I'll figure something out. I'm typically busy when it comes to live streams, not to avoid you all, Chad, or just any of my future subs. Yeah, if you want to witness me playing like GTA 5 online with my not my with my subs or whatever, or just me doing plenty of heist cuts, heist, and just missions just to get that 100k specifically for the Saka Kill Rico heist prep or heist setup, like having 100k. Yeah, if you want to witness me doing that shit as well, yeah, be sure to leave a comment down below. Otherwise, I'm gonna end right here. Take it easy, chat. And all I gotta mention is, despite me being chronologically 21 years old, it doesn't necessarily make any difference. Oh shit, I'm quite near. Actually, I'm gonna do like a few missions later today, or after the roleplay. We'll see. Let's see how long the roleplay is. Anyway, chat, I'm gonna end right here to DJ.